But yeah, first wanted to thank everyone for joining this workshop. We really appreciate you being here. Just a short introduction. My name is David Hollup. I'm a counselor at PACE Business Development Center. PACE is a nonprofit community development organization based in Los Angeles. We provide comprehensive community development services that promote sustainable economic mobility for underserved communities. We have several core programs, including early childhood education, energy efficiency, housing, workforce developments, and our business development center. And through that, we support entrepreneurs in Southern California by offering business counseling, procurement services, government contracting, and then access to capital. So the city of LA has 10 of these BusinessSource Centers. We operate 2 of them, one downtown in Pico-Union and one in Hollywood. We're an SBA microlender, an EDA and iBank lender, and we also are a certified CDFI. So today's workshop is called From Survival to Scale, How Capital Changes the Game for Small Businesses. I will let our panelists introduce themselves, Tatiana and Lucy, and their roles at Chase. And then we'll have a Q&A after the presentation. You can use the chat and the Q&A boxes to submit your questions along the way, and we'll try to answer them. One last request on our end. When you exit the workshop, there will be a Zoom survey. If you complete that, it really helps us understand what works, what doesn't, and other feedback on this workshop and others you'd like to see. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tatiana, and we can start the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. As David mentioned, my name is Tatiana Roberts, and I'm a community manager for Chase. My role entails bringing financial health education to the community. Now, whether that be through your own personal finance, through your business, or maybe reaching your goal of home ownership, that's what I do for Chase. So it's an honor to be with all of you today. And as you can see on the screen, we do have a photography/videotaping notice for you that is required for me to show you. So I'm going to leave it here. But you are in for a treat with my partner, Lucy, who's going to walk you through our workshop. So I'll hand it over to Lucy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Tatiana, and welcome everybody. I want to, give my first thank you for showing up. It is a beautiful sunny, I don't know where you guys are at, but it is a Wednesday afternoon and it is hot out there, but it's during lunch and you guys are taking the time to work on your business. So thank you for showing up. Today, we are talking about the power of capital. And so I am going to add to David's remarks. There are going to be a couple of surveys for you guys to fill out at the end of this workshop. But the reason that we asked you guys to do that is because that's how we are able to do our job and not charge anybody for the information and the content that we are doing. So there'll be a couple or a few links at the end for you guys to scan and take part of. But again, in order for us to bring this content and make sure that you guys are getting what you want, we do ask that you take a few moments to do those surveys. So thank you. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the power of capital today. And then go ahead. So my name is Lucy Cesena, and I am a senior business consultant here with Chase's Coaching for Impact program. So we are a company that works with entrepreneurs. We love helping the community, and my specific department, we offer no-cost business coaching. We do one-on-one. We do it for 4 months, and we work with the business owner in helping them scale and grow their business, uncovering needs on what business owners have. And so this is what I also do. I work with organizations in bringing resources and information on entrepreneurs, whether it's cash flow, marketing. Right now, we have a lot of procurement things going on, which I know PACE is doing a lot of workshops about as well. But today, we are going to be talking about the power of capital. Go ahead, Tatiana. So why we're here. All businesses deserve an equal opportunity to prove themselves in the marketplace. right? You guys are all, I'm assuming, business owners. And again, they already mentioned, if you have any questions, I will be checking at the chat periodically. So please feel free to ask any question. But we're here because business owners need the resources, they need the help. A lot of times business owners are starting a business because they have a trait or they know what they do well, but there's a other side of business, which is the business side of things. Or how is the bank going to look at me? How do I get funding? And a lot of times business owners don't know where to go to find that information. So we are bringing these resources as a bank, as business consultants, as companies who really are in the field working with the community and helping business owners. So we're here to give that information today to you guys. Go ahead, Tati. So the fundamentals still matter. These time-tested approaches can help any business owner gain traction in times of crisis and times of calm. So as I'm going through this workshop with you guys, we're going to talk about what does a bank look for when you're asking for funding? What does your business need to look like when asking for funding? Everybody wants to get capital, right? Everybody has a business and thinks, I need a loan. But do you need a loan? We're going to talk about things that you should be asking yourself. So this is going to be a time for you guys to reflect on your own. And we also included a workbook that you guys can take and keep. I believe they were emailed to everybody. If you did not receive one, please let us know in the chat and we'll make sure that you get it. But the notebook is going to go hand in hand with this workshop, and you can use that notebook on your own time and answer some of the questions that we're asking today. Think about some of the things that we're bringing up, and do you have the P&Ls? Do you have the financials? So the workbook will be able to help you as we're navigating through this and even after. Go ahead. All right, so I will, if anybody wants to share in the chat, please. If not, no big deal. But how confident, take a self evaluation right now. How confident do you feel about your knowledge of business credit options? Are you not confident at all? Do you know a little? Are you ready to dig a little deeper? Do you have a solid base knowledge of it? Or are you just so confident you already have that business loan? So I see Michelle is a 3. You're ready to dig a little deeper. And just a little bit again about me, I want to share, I come from having a business myself. I owned a consulting firm. And in the beginning, I had no idea what it took to get business loans. Like, how do I get money for my business? I had to bootstrap it and eventually work my way into being able to get lines of credits and credit cards and SBA loans and all these things. But in the beginning, I had no idea what that looked like. And I'm sure some of you are in the same boat, especially if you're a new business, because it's kind of difficult for new businesses to get funding for your brand new idea, right? So we're going to talk about that a little today. Go ahead, Tati. All right, so what we're going to cover today is in part 1, think strategically about cash flow. Part 2 is, does your business need to borrow? Part 3 is, why are you a good investment? And then what financial data is important? What are your credit options? And then we're going to end it with, go out there and begin your own empire. All right, so part 1 is thinking strategically. Go ahead. About cash flow. So cash flow is so much more than money in the bank. What we mean by that is when you think of cash flow, you think, how much money do I have in your bank account right now, right? But here's the thing, as a business owner, depending on the type of business you have, sometimes you have invoices out. And if you have invoices out and you're not properly managing what you have today, because you can have money in the bank right now, but let's say tomorrow payroll hits, or you get an unexpected emergency in your business, and now you have to go take a chunk of that cash and pay for something. Or if you get a big order and now you have to buy inventory, what happens when you have to use that money in your bank account? You know that you have sales, you know that you have things coming in, but you're not completely planned properly for all the things taking place. So when we talk about cash flow, I'm not just talking about the money that you have, I'm talking about how are you working it? What is the money coming in? What is the money going out? And how are you leveraging that? How are your invoices? Again, net 30, net 60, net 90. You know, I made a sale, I'm good, but that money's not quite in your bank account yet. And then something has to come out. It's going to mess up your cash flow. So we're going to dive deep into that. Go ahead. So cash flow troubles threaten big, bright tech. This is a fictitious story, but I'll give you a little bit of insight on Tiffany's firm. So Tiffany has a firm and she found a profitable niche in the startup scene. So why is she close to going out of business? Well, here's an example. Tiffany just landed a big deal, right? So she had to hire new employees. She's super excited. She's buying her employees lunch. She's buying all of the materials and the inventory that she needs to be able to bring the product that she just sold on the startup scene. And what happens is the next day payroll hits for her. So payroll hits, and now all of the money that she had in her bank account that she's been spending on lunches, that she's been spending on the materials that she needed, she is now in a negative position because those invoices from these deals that she just closed have not come in yet. So this is where cash flow becomes trouble because she knows that she has the sales, she knows that she made the money, but it wasn't in yet. And she was spending the money like she already had it. And sometimes business owners are operating every day in the day-to-day that they don't realize like, oh, I have to stop and think, what am I working with truly? Because if something comes out and nothing has come in yet, but you know you've made some sales, so you think you're okay, it's going to put your bank account in problems. Go ahead. So does your business even need to borrow money right now? So remember that when you borrow capital, you need a plan to pay it back. And if you can, also in the chat, how many of you have business plans? When you start a business, are you creating a business plan, or have you started the business just based on, I have an idea, I have a service, I have something I want to start, let's just get to it. Eventually, as your business is going to start to grow, you're going to realize that there's capital that you're going to need to buy inventory. Maybe it's equipment. Maybe you do want to hire some employees because you know that if you get more workers, you can actually expand your business and more business money will come in. But if you borrow money today and you don't have a plan of how you're going to pay it back, it'll put you in a bad situation. So think about it this way. If you're operating day to day right now, and you know you're barely making it, you can pay the bills, you're not really paying yourself, you're paying your employees, but you're stretched really thin. How do you think having a business loan is going to put you in what position is that going to put you in? If you're barely making it now, how are you going to pay back that? So when you come to think of like, I want a loan, I want to get capital, you have to really determine how are you going to be able to pay this back? What changes need to be made? And that's what we help in the Coaching for Impact program. We work with business owners and seeing, okay, what are these financials look like? What are the ways that we can change? What are the inventory? What are the net 90s, 60s? What are the vendors looking at? We work and make sure that as you're thinking about borrowing cash, that there's an actual plan that you can pay back. Go ahead, Tati. So when dealing with the lenders, what do lenders want to know? They want to know how long you've been in business. They want to know if your business is profitable. A lot of times as business owners, we file our taxes and we like to show that we make no money. Why? Because we don't want to pay those taxes. But what ends up happening is when you don't show your profit and now you're trying to go to your bank or a lender to borrow money, they're looking at a business that is not profitable. And half the time they may not want to give you money because if you're not making any profit, how are you going to pay that back? And then another question that lenders want to know is your business seasonal? For instance, let's take, I'll use an example of like Christmas trees, right? We know that December, October, the end of October, November, those lots are busy. They're making tons of money, but those are still businesses that are open throughout the year. How are they pivoting? How are they making up for the slow months versus those busy seasons? Same with anybody that's in the summer, somebody that has a business that deals with a lot of spring. Those are businesses that lenders want to know, okay, on those downtimes, how are you guys bringing in profit? And then do you need to build credit? And the beginning of your business, you are your personal guarantor. So your business is going to be based on what your credit looks like. What do you guys already have in your name? Who's going to give you more if you're already maxed out on DTIs and LTVs? So these are things that they're going to be looking for. And then are you looking to expand? Are you trying to grow your business, or will you need equipment to help your business? As we said before, sometimes buying a piece of equipment, I've had clients that I've worked with that are, in media, and they know that if they get a camera system that is much more expensive, they can do a lot more work and charge way more prices. So in that sense, it is really smart move to buy equipment to make their business grow. But these are things that you have to ask yourself when you're going to get a loan and what lenders are going to want to know from you. Go ahead, Tati. Next. And then why are you a good investment? So you are your business's most important asset. You're a leader of your business. You're the one making the decisions. Some of you have teams. Maybe you're a solopreneur, but at the end of the day, it's still you who is going to a lender and is asking for money, and they're looking at you first. And they look at everything: integrity, character, credit. They want to know about all these things because you're at the front of it. Are you going to pay back the loan? Are you able to create the income to be able to get that back? Go ahead, Tati. So the things that they look at as you is your leadership. A bank wants to know why you're the right person to lead this business. And then cash flow. The cash flow, as we mentioned before, is critical to your ability to secure a loan. It's not just about what you have in the bank, but it's about what is coming in and what sales you're making. And then also collateral. Sometimes banks want to know what you have as far as homes or any type of collateral that you can put up to get a loan that'll make it easier. So some banks will look into what you guys have personally to be able to use as collateral for that. Go ahead, Tati. And then you have your personal credit score versus your business credit score. Now, how many of you know that your business actually gets a business score, a credit score? So personal credit score is tracked by your social security number. And typically that number ranges between 300 to 850, which is known as the FICO score, right? So I coach businesses and I ask them, what is your personal credit score range? And you'd be surprised how many times they say, oh, I don't even know what that is. I think it's around this. It is very important to know what your personal credit score is, especially when you're starting a business, because again, that is the first thing that is going to help you get your first business credit card or your business loan, because you are the personal guarantor. There are sites out there like Credit Karma, and I think Experian gives you a free credit score every year or something like that, where you can go and actually monitor what your credit is. But credit score personally is very important. And Tatiana, my partner here, she actually does workshops on building your credit and what credit looks like. So it's very important that you know what your personal credit score is, and it will venture off into the business credit score. So the difference is a business credit score is actually tracked by your EIN number, which is the employer identification number, which is also known as your tax ID number. So sometimes business owners get confused by that. Tax ID and EIN are the same exact thing. So when you're making purchases through your new corporation, whether it's an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, you're able to make purchases through your business. And that business, when it's used with the tax ID number, is now ranking your credit score. And businesses range between 0 to 100. So of course, the higher the number, the better the business credit is. And you can pull that, if anybody wanted to know, on Experian Business. You can pull a business credit report and find out actually what yours is. And that's why it says no organization provides a centrally recognized score, but you can actually pull one through Experian Business. But it is really good to know what your business credit score is, again, because you will start getting offers from banks. They'll start asking you if you want to borrow money as your business credit score increases. So it's really important to know the difference. And it's really important to take care of that because you're building it just like you would your personal. Go ahead, Tatiana. All right, so what financial data is important when it comes to looking for loans? So loan officers want to feel confident that extending credit to your business will pay off, right? So when you're going and applying for a loan and sometimes they have a lot of requirements, it's because they just want to know that you have the ability, whether it's your sales, if it's a service, how are you charging your customers? And that's the other thing. When is the last time you've taken a look at what your actual service fees are? A lot of times business owners are so busy in the day-to-day that they don't do an evaluation of what their current charges are. And as inflation rises, as prices rise, you guys are paying more for your costs, but you're not really putting that into the business and raising your prices as a whole. So as the inflation is rising, as other businesses are rising, you're kind of staying the same and it's not expanding you to grow. So loan officers just want to feel that if you can get the credit that you'd be able to pay that off. And sometimes I know it gets a little difficult, but again, doing an evaluation of what your services are, what your fees are, and making just a slight increase can sometimes make a world of difference over time. Go ahead, Tatiana. All right, so tax returns. Newer business owners will need to provide both personal and business tax returns. This is something that I really want to kind of spend a minute on when it comes to tax returns with business owners. I have talked to businesses where, and I'll give you an example. I had a client who was 6 years in business. She was an LLC. And although she started the business 6 years ago, she didn't actually really start working in the business until about maybe 4 years after she started it. So for 4 years, she didn't do anything. But then as she was starting to work the business, she was making great money. So much money was coming in, but she had never filed any tax returns. And here's the thing with the IRS. Once you establish a business and you pull a tax ID number, the IRS knows that you're in business. And depending on what state you're in, California is where I am, so I'll use that as an example. California requires every business, whether you're an LLC or a corporation, to file your taxes yearly. And they're expecting a minimum $800 state tax fee. So when you don't file those tax returns, what happens is now you're getting penalties and you're getting interest on top of those penalties year after year until those taxes are done. So when you go to a bank and you're saying, oh, I'm ready to borrow money, I want to, get a loan because my business is growing, but your tax returns haven't been filed, that is not going to be able to work for you. You will have to go back and file every year that you didn't file and then pay all of those penalties and interest. And then on top of that, the IRS can actually suspend your corporation. So once it gets suspended, it is a very while, like a long time. It takes a while to get it activated again. And on top of that, you do have to pay every single dollar that is owed for back taxes or those penalties and interest. So it's really important that when you start your business, if you're an LLC, it's March 15th. If you're a corporation, it's April 15th. You have to get your corporate taxes filed every year. This is also a part of your compliance as a business owner. As a business owner, you are responsible for what is required to keep that business in compliance, and tax returns are one of them. When you go to the bank and you don't have the business credit and it's already not established, so you're newer, these are the things that they're going to require. So it's really good to get them every single year, stay on top of them, even though you think that $800 might be a lot. Just think, if you're making money and working in your business anyway, there's money coming in that you're going to have to pay taxes on. So just take care of it and save your guys the headache in years to come. Go ahead. And then balance sheets. So based on what you include in your balance sheet, your bank will calculate a few important data points. So balance sheets, they want to know, what are your interests that you're paying on any credit cards, if you have any? If you already have loans, how much is going out to that? What money is coming in from sales? What are you buying as far as inventory? So as a business owner, you want to make sure that you know what your numbers are every single month. I wouldn't even say year. If you don't have a bookkeeper on site, there should be something in an Excel sheet that you guys are working with to be able to say, okay, I started with this much at the beginning of the month. I made this much money by the end of the month, and this much money went out. And we're talking about leases, payroll, inventory. If you have to pay contractors, you have to keep a track and notice of every single thing that comes in and out to be able to get your financials in order. Because again, if I'm coming to you and you guys don't know me, I'm just somebody that sees, oh, they have money, that's somebody I want to invest in my business. If I came and asked you, would you invest in my company? And I don't have any of my financials or my documents in order. Would you feel comfortable lending me money knowing that I would pay you back? I wouldn't. So this is the same with the lender. So make sure that you guys do have your financials in order when it comes to asking for the funds. Go ahead, Tatiana. And then profit and loss statements. So this document summarizes the revenues, the cost, and the expenses related to your business during a specific time period. Profit and losses are usually asked for yearly. So they want to know the entire year what the company has done. There's a lot of free sites out there that you can actually use when it comes to keeping track of your income. We have one on chase.com / I think it's cash tools, but I can put that in the link when I'm done. But basically it's a program where you can input all of your money that comes in and all of the money that you go out, and then it'll calculate what your profit and loss is. So it gives you a good idea of what your numbers are. And again, this is something that we teach our business owners all the time, is knowing what your numbers are. Because if you're coming to a place of, I need to buy more inventory, or I need to hire somebody, maybe it's, I want to buy equipment. Well, how do you know that you can afford these things if you're not keeping track of what your profit is? So there's 3 different types of profits. You have on the P&L, you can show your income statement. It shows how much profit your business made over a period of time, summarizing the revenues, the cost, and the expenses. So that is something, again, that lenders really use when it comes to calculating your actual gross revenue. And then also, how are you paying? I'm sorry, go back one more time. And then how are you paying yourself with this? So a lot of times business owners are not making enough to pay themselves on payroll, but maybe you're taking money throughout the year, which isn't a bad thing, but it's called distributions. So if you're taking money through the business as distributions, those all have to be tracked, because when it comes time to file your taxes, those are all the things that have to be accounted for. So this is one of the main things that you guys want to make sure that, if anything, when you're going to get a loan from the bank, that you have your tax returns, your balance sheets, and the profit and loss. Okay, go ahead, Tatiana. All right, now what are your credit options for your business? All right, so there's a lot of ways that your business might be able to access capital. Some of the 3 main types of credits that banks offer are credit cards, lines of credits, and then there are term loans. So you can think of these as different levels or stages. A successful history at each level improves your chances of qualifying for additional forms of credit. So first, we're going to get into credit cards. All right, so business credit cards. Business credit cards are easy to access, and they're easy to use, but they do require careful management. So as a new business owner, and this is something I tell my clients all the time, brand new business just starting, right? We talked about the credit. So if you have good credit personally, and you go to the bank and you open your business checking account, some banks will offer you a business credit card right there on the spot because your credit is really well, it's good. Other times you'll have to apply for one. But I encourage all of my business owners, if you have a new business and you can get a business credit card, do it. Even if you don't use it, at least you have it, because what happens is, let's just say that you need to buy a big purchase, but you know an invoice is going to be paid in 2 weeks, but you don't want to use the cash that you have in your bank account right now. So you want to use your credit card to buy inventory. So you use the credit card, and then 2 weeks later, when that invoice is paid, you pay it off. What that is doing is it is building your business credit. So as you're using the credit card, you're able to build your business credit to then move up to different types of fundings. So business credit cards are good for cash flow management. So it's good for flexible short-term spending. So use it to manage cash flow when you don't want to draw down your accounts. Just as I mentioned, you have an invoice coming in a couple weeks, but you have to buy inventory today. Use the credit card and then pay it back when your invoices pay. And then gain convenience and control by tracking your purchases with regular statements. You can take a look at it, you're on top of it. And then also the security. So like you want to buy something, but you don't want to use the money on your account, or you don't want to use your debit card that will swipe. Even if you have overdraft protection, sometimes it still swipes. At least with the credit card, you can put spending limits on it. You can set alerts. And you can also give it to employees if you have them. For instance, if you have if you have a truck and they got to go put gas in their car often and they're using a business credit card, you can put those limits on there and they're not using the money in your account. I had a client that I'm working with, and I keep referencing my clients because they're perfect examples of what business owners go through. She has her daughters that work in the business with her, and she makes great money, but she sat in front of me and was like, I don't know what to do because my daughters see money in my account and they're constantly using my business credit card. And it's putting her in a bad situation because yes, there's money sitting there, but it's already accounted for bills that have to go out or payroll that has to go out. So having a credit card that they can put a limit on or set alerts is going to help her management in the actual business account. So that's also really important. And then the last one with the business credit card is rewards. If you guys know you're going to make a big purchase, and sometimes you can get a really great business credit card with no interest for 12 months or no interest for 18 months, and you can pay those down, but you're getting rewards. So another example of an amazing client is they used their credit cards and they had $500 rewards. I think they were getting it every 3 months. So what they did, which was actually really neat, was during Thanksgiving and during Christmas, in order to up their social media accounts, they did an award or a reward system where if you liked and followed them, you were entered into a raffle to be able to get a $500 gift card for Thanksgiving. And then they did the same for Christmas. So you're already making purchases through your business, right? But now the rewards that you have on this card, you can use as marketing or something else for your business. So you can gain followers, you can gain attention, and you didn't have to put any money in that at all. So credit cards are a great option when you're just starting or trying to figure out what purchases you need to make, but you don't want to flatline your account. All right, and then we're going to go after credit cards, we switch into business lines of credits. So a business line of credit is a flexible option that doesn't have a fixed payment schedule, but it will expire at some point and you will need to be renewed. So some of the benefits of having a line of credit are the emergency funds. Sometimes you have taxes that are due. And you don't, again, everything is about not flatlining your bank account because it is very important that the cash that you have on hand, you don't want to put at zero in case of emergency. So a business line of credit can be great to bridge difficult times or spark growth, which are often opportunities to tap into a line of credit. So for instance, you have to pay something, you know that you're getting a big deposit or you're getting invoices at a later date, maybe a month or two, you can definitely take advantage of that. Sorry, I thought we had a question. We just have a comment. So sorry. Okay. So lines of credits usually have higher limits than a credit card, and they can be accessed as cash. So you can use it to cover expenses like payroll or rent, and then you can pay them back. And again, there's not a fixed scheduled payment. It will fluctuate based on the amount you're using, but once you pay it back, that limit will be there for you to use again. So it's revolving. And then most lines of credit, they do expire at some point. And if they're not renewed, the full balance will have to be paid at that time. So they're a little different from the credit cards, but a lot more stable when it comes to bigger purchases. So here's an example. A business knows that it can increase profits by switching to a vendor that has a higher minimum spend, but without upfront cash to make the switch, it taps into a line of credit to get supplies needed to increase the production at a cheaper cost per unit. So again, they know that they can make more money if they switch to a different vendor, right? But when you all know that if you switch to a new vendor, you have to sometimes buy in bulk. You have to buy a lot. So if you're buying from a vendor and you have to put all this money down, but now you're getting the inventory, but you're not quite ready to sell whatever it is you're making, or the sales are not there, having a line of credit instead of a credit card would be your best option. And then your business line of credit may have higher credit limits as the credit cards alone, but it can also incur more risk and overall expense. So just be mindful when you're looking at a line of credit that it does actually fit what you're using it for. Okay, and then that will take us into term loans. And then, go ahead. And then business term loans, they must be paid within a specific time frame. And the lending process for term loans is often more rigorous than the revolving credit options. So some of the benefits for term loans are larger purchases. Let's say you're wanting to buy that building that you guys are working out of, you real estate, or if you need a new equipment, maybe a new truck, maybe a new printing machine. I have clients who are buying printing machines that cost $12,000, and those are big purchases. So instead of using a line of credit that's going to fluctuate or a credit card that they're going to be gaining interest on every single month, a term loan would fit best under those things. So unlike credit cards and lines of credits, that use revolving capital, term loans give you a lump sum of money upfront that you repay within a specific time frame or term. So it's a lot more easy for you guys to manage those payments because payments typically happen on a regular schedule or over a period of years. And then while loans have a more rigorous approval process than the other forms like a credit card or a line of credit, they help you take advantage of bigger opportunities. So think things that will take at least 12 months to pay off. If you're expanding, again, buying real estate or buying equipment, and you know that if you buy this piece of equipment, it can get you a lot more business, but it's not going to happen overnight. It will take time to build that and to grow it. Then maybe a term loan is good for you. And then capital for expansion and growth. Let's say you want to hire a whole new department. Let's say you want to bring in a marketing team or HR, and you don't quite have the funds. You don't want to use a line of credit for that or a credit card. So this term loan is going to be more for longer and more sustainable items that you'll need within the business. So this is long and more predictable payment schedule. So if you're borrowing a lot, you know that every month the same amount will be due, and you have, sometimes it's 5 years, sometimes it's 6 years, whatever the term is with the banks, you'll have that long to pay it off. So these are some of the different options that you guys can choose from when taking advantage of funding. And then go to the next one. We have a couple of other additional sources of capital. So a lot of times people might complain, a bank won't give me a loan. I can't get a line of credit. I haven't been in business for 2 years. Well, there are other ways to fund your business beyond traditional banking products. You have SBA loans, and SBA stands for the Small Business Administration. And a business loan can go to a business can go to an SBA approved lender, which we are. We actually do have SBA loans, and get a loan backed by the federal government. But there's also places like CDFIs, and CDFIs are community development financial institutions. I don't know if you guys heard David say, but he did say that they are a CDFI. So that includes credit unions, banks, loans, venture capitalists, and they're certified by the U.S. Department of Treasury to invest federal dollars alongside private sector capital to support underserved communities. And a lot of times CDFIs have different requirements. So it may not be financials. It may not be, your credits. It may not be what you have in the bank. Sometimes I've seen CDFIs go off of projections. They go off of a business plan. So if you have a brand new business that wants to open and a bank is not going to lend, sometimes a CDFI might be a better option. And then you also have venture capitalists. So venture capitalists give private funds. They give it in exchange for an ownership or a stake. So if you have a business, and this is a great example of when you see businesses on Shark Tank, they go to Shark Tank and they're asking for 5% of their business for $100,000. Those are the people or companies that will lend money, but they want a stake in your business. And then you guys have to think, okay, do I want to give a piece of what I'm working for? But if it's something that you want to take public or you really want to grow, sometimes a venture capitalist is a good option for you. And then you have small business grants. Now, these are really great because this is money that you don't have to pay back. Business owners are eligible to be certified as small businesses, as minority-owned businesses, as women-owned businesses. And there's a lot of grants specifically for those types of businesses. But just in general, if you have a business and there's a grant for small businesses, why not try to get it? It is free money. Now, you do have to write a great grant, have a great grant write, or sometimes they do videos, but these are really great opportunities if you don't want to have to pay money back. And there's a lot of opportunities out there when it comes to grants as well. So if you don't have the traditional ways of being able to get funding with credit cards, lines of credits, or terms, here are additional options that you guys can look into. And then if anybody has any questions right now, you can go ahead and put it in the chat about the credit or about the funding. And then right now, we'll close it out with building your own empire. So as you are thinking back of the presentation, I hope it helped you take a step on building your own empire. I don't know, again, where some of you guys are in the business process, if you're brand new, if you're established. I'd love to know if it is a trial and trying to get funding or trying to figure out where can I get my next move because I need inventory or I need things like that. But there are many options out there, and having capital does make your business grow for sure. But again, the whole premise of this is to understand that if you're going to ask for funding, that you guys do have a plan on how you're going to pay it back. Because the one thing you don't want to do is get funding and then be in a worse situation from before you even had it. So these are things to consider, things to think about. As I mentioned, we do have other workshops that we can help when it comes to navigating the cash flow. What does it look like when you actually get the money? And I talked a lot about cash flow when it comes to invoicing and having the money in the account, not flatlining it, and how to navigate all through that. So go to the next one.
Hey, Lucy, we do have a question in the Q&A queue. It says, what are great grant resources for new startups?
So there's a lot of sites that you can go to, like there's Hello Alice. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but these are resources where you can actually go and look and see what grants are available. Also, I don't know, I believe PACE might put some out, but there's a lot of grants sometimes that are taking place for new businesses. There was just one not too long ago that was offering grants they were giving $50,000 in grants, and it's like 10 businesses here and 5 businesses there. So I will look into that and I can give those. I know we have your email addresses, but Hello Alice is a good one. And there's another one. She Rise does a lot of grants. And let me see. I would have to think, but there's quite a few of them. And then organizations. So again, CDFIs, if you Google CDFIs, you can find a lot of them offer grants. They are given money, again, as I said, they're backed by the federal government. So they're given money that they have to give away. And if you go to some of their websites, they normally post when they have grants available. But there's another site, grants.gov is a good place for you to go and look and see what federal grants they have. There's small business grants, so I know the SBA does that. Corporate grants sometimes are like Visa, I know has some, MasterCard. So they're all over the place. You just have to Google grants but grants.gov, Hello Alice, those are a lot of good places that you can start. All right, so I know I kind of talked a lot and maybe fast, but based on that, you can put in the chat if you like where you feel as far as the knowledge in what funding looks like or what people look for. And then the other one, actually, there's another question here. Resources. Okay, so you answered that. Thank you, Tatiana, for the credit report. Okay, perfect. So go ahead to the next one. So right here, if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. If there's anything that you, again, just like the grants or any questions about the capital or the power of that, or even if you want to know about the coaching program or some of the other resources, you can put it in the chat. And while you guys are writing your questions, you can go to the next slide. If you guys can go ahead and scan that QR code, this is going to be the one of 3 that you guys will fill out today. And if you can just give a quick survey on what you thought of today's workshop. My name is Lucy. I believe it's under Lucy or Lucille. I am in the Los Angeles area. And these are workshops that we do often. And like I said, this allows us to come back and do these at no cost for you. So if you can please scan that and take that quick 30-second survey, and then we'll get the other one back up for you. And then I will give it back to Tatiana. Thank you, guys. And Margarita, thank you. I thought that was a good idea that the client did that for the gift cards as well, especially if you're using points. And we have a whole great workshop on marketing. And I think that that was one of the smartest things that the business owner did when it came to giving the $500 gift cards. And it really did increase their following on that.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That was a great, great presentation. We'll wait to see if there's any questions, but please take the time to fill out the survey. This helps us so much. This actually helps us continue the work that we're doing in different communities. So if everybody can take the time to go ahead and scan that QR code. Some of you may be watching us from your phone, so all you have to do is take a phone screenshot, then you go to your photos, click on it, and it will open up for you. And then I'll share an additional code for those of you that need additional assistance, or maybe you do want to join one of our credit workshops. Maybe you want to get in touch with Lucy to be your coach or your mentor. I'll share that QR code in a bit. All right. So as Lucy mentioned, we are going to have a variety of QR codes. So I'm going to share this one. Now, this one specifically will ask you what kind of workshops you're interested in. So then that way we can invite you to the different events that we have going on. For example, tomorrow we're having an amazing event for our business owners at the Noble in downtown Los Angeles at LA Live. So these are the cool events that Chase puts together to bring business owners into the same space. You know that networking is very important. So in order for us to invite you to these events, please go ahead and scan this QR code. If you are looking to get additional support, additional advice with our team of experts, or if you want to get connected with Lucy, just press other, and then go ahead and enter Lucy's name. And then of course, make sure that you enter your contact information so that we know where to reach you. So I'll leave this up and then I'll hand it over to David.
All right. Thank you, Tatiana and Lucy. That was a great presentation. Yeah, we can leave it open for questions for a bit. Yeah, you can obviously reach out to Lucy and Tatiana. If you're in the Los Angeles area, you can reach out to us here at PACE. I'll put my email in the chat and our website. As Lucy mentioned, we do have a CDFI. So if traditional banks are not an option for you at this time, you can come talk to us and we can see if we can help out. We also just do general small business counseling for free. And yeah, we keep track of grants, especially in the Los Angeles area. There aren't many right now, but there are some specific ones. So yeah, I'll put my email and our website in the chat, and you can check us out. And our website has an e-library for all the old workshops that we've done, which is a lot of them. We do them pretty often. And this one will be up there as well in a few days. Yeah.
You are welcome, Margarita. You're so sweet. Just if anybody's still in here, I want to know how many of you are business owners or are you thinking about starting a business? Pre-seed. Oh, that's always fun, Nadia. Start with friends and family. That's a great pre to getting into, yes, and getting into all the rest. 5 years, active 2.5, so much. Okay, good. Well, Michelle, I hope that out of the 5 years that you filed your taxes, the first 3, as I mentioned, that is really important. And you're about to start a business, Melanie. That's exciting. Oh, good, Michelle. Good job. But yes, aquaponics, that's really neat. And again, starting a business can be scary, but I think taking the first step in actually doing it is the hardest part. And I always use a saying that I love from Field of Dreams, and I take it with every, business owner that I work with. If you build it, they will come. So that's, again, the hardest part is actually taking the first step. So congratulations on that. And to everybody else who's been in business, 5 years is a long time. Even though you probably doing it the last 2.5, they say it is the hardest in the beginning. So kudos to you. And thank you guys again.
All right. Are there any other questions? We could leave it open, but if not, we'll just wrap it up in a minute or so. Last chance. All right, not seeing any. So, yeah, thank you again, Tatiana and Lucy. Please fill out all the surveys. They really do help. And feel free to reach out to any of us, all of us. I will say I used to run a small business as well, and there are so many resources out there, and people are definitely willing to help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't try to do it all yourself. Get help, and it's out there. So, yeah,